Good morning, everyone. What's going on? Max here for another live jam session. I've got Jenny, one of our IFS clients. She's been with us for a bit over 2 months now, give or take. I think that's about right, isn't it, Jenny?
Yep, that'd be right. Yeah.
Awesome. And Jenny, what she does, she's a mindset and transformation coach. She's come into us as a pretty new coach, and I had to share this story with you because I got goosebumps when I first got the information from Jenny, but I wanted to share her journey with you. Jenny, I'm going to throw it open to you. I could talk about this all day. I'm going to let you do the talking. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you and who do you help?
Okay, no problem. So I help women who are in transition, essentially. So they've been raising kids, investing all their time and energy in their family, and they get to a point where the kids are about ready to leave home. They've got their independence, and mum's like, oh, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? Like, who am I? You know, a lot of the times that question comes up, who am I? And what am I going to do? It's the same thing for women who have had a career. They've been in a particular career for some time. They, they go through some sort of life change, some significant change that happens for them. And they realize that actually whatever they've been doing all of this time in their career is not really suited to them at all, and they're ready for a change. So I tend to work with people who are in that transition phase, who are in that self-discovery of trying to find out who they are and what they're here for.
Yeah, great. Okay, so why did you get started with the Influencer Project? What was going on before that was the catalyst for the change to come and start hanging out with us?
Sure. I've been actually following you guys for some time. So back in 2019, I got a job as a recruiter for the first time ever. And yeah, somehow a friend recommended me to the Influencer Project. And at the time, Rana was doing a presentation in Perth. So I went along and watched that and participated in that for the day. And then I'd been following you guys ever since. So I really wanted, even back then, to do the program, but my employer wouldn't pay for it. And I didn't have the funds at the time to do that. So what I did is just downloaded the ebook that was available. And I just started following the strategies on the ebook. So I was posting 3 times a week. I knew nothing about cyber, by the way, but I was posting 3 times a week other people's content and just commenting on it. And it worked for me. So within a space of 7 months, I think I built a database of about 600 or 700 people in the cybersecurity arena. And I went from having no brand presence to developing a bit of an expert, if you like, brand around the cybersecurity recruitment field. So I'd meet people in cyber and then express an interest, and they'd teach me stuff, and on it kind of went from there. So now that I've actually stepped into my own business, it was a no-brainer for me, because there were some vital steps I knew were missing between that sort of prospecting or that lead generation sort of stage to actually getting somebody to buy. And I knew that you guys could fill the gap there.
Awesome. So you've had a bit of an experience with us over a few years. You eventually pulled the trigger for your own business. Once you did that, what happened next? What was your experience like once you got in and started to actually play the way through the content?
Well, what I like about it, and I think most people who are in business would probably feel this way, is that when you're in business and you have to do 50 million things, or so it feels, it's really hard to understand what to do first, second, third, or fourth, and I've had coaches in the past, and one of my best coaches says, Jenny, focus on income generating activities. And that's all well and good, but what are they? It's a very broad statement. And for somebody who's new and doesn't know what are going to be those income generating, and you get sucked into thinking that maybe that's all around social media, but you could be on social media all day long and never make 1 cent from it, right? So what I really loved about coming into the Influencer Project were 2 things mainly. One is the community. I love the supportive nature of the community, and the fact that there's not that I'm competing with you kind of vibe. It's very much collaborative and giving, and I really love that. And the second part, obviously, is providing the answers to what those income generating activities are. So really literally do A, B, C, D, E, F, and although I like to break the rules, I like to know what they are as well. So then I can navigate them within the realm of what I can do, what's in my capacity, and I have a roadmap, and I think that's the best thing that you guys provide is that roadmap.
Yeah, brilliant. That's let's get to those income generating activities. It's like, what?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so now you've got a roadmap and you started to implement the roadmap. Tell me about what happened. I think it was last week. Tell me the lead up to that and how you were thinking about your business, your pricing, your offer, and all of that sort of thing until you got to last week. What happened?
Well, as you said, I am a mindset coach. So mindset is a very big part of what I do, but also what I practice and how I help people. So, I can't even really tell you why, but the week beforehand, I just kept focusing on what I was grateful for. And I wasn't doing it for any particular reason. So there wasn't, I'm going to do this to get that. There was no agenda behind it. I just remember I was just feeling so grateful for where I live, for the experiences I was having, for the fact that I had the support through the program with you guys. And I was just following the system. So you have to understand that I'm not necessarily getting results from the system, not because I'm so new and there hasn't been some leverage of time yet. But I got to see that just following that activity plan and doing those activities consistently was actually the key, and showing up in those events was actually the key. So it started to generate a few conversations online, but I've also been doing networking offline. So I've been following, if you like, the same system, but just offline and pressing the flesh with people that I'm meeting in networking meetings. So as it turns out, I had delivered a speech through one of those networking functions, and someone who'd listened to me speak a couple of weeks back now actually then approached me and said, yeah, I'd really like to work with you. So, what you guys teach is that brainstorming piece and then the sales call, but I hadn't got to that stage yet in the program and the material. And honestly, I went to this meeting with this client because it's just, I'd like to meet with you and chat about it. But I just still didn't believe that he was actually going to buy. And when you're in the coaching space, it's a bit like if you're a hairdresser, I suppose, or a plumber or an electrician, like you go over to friends' houses and you kind of half expect that they're going to ask you for this stuff for free. And it's really easy to get caught up in that because you do what you love. It's easy just to give. So part of me was potentially expecting that this is what was going to happen, like he was just looking for some feedback on something. But lo and behold, like 2 hours into the conversation, I realized, he just sort of came out with it. It was like, well, so how do I work with you? I was a bit like, oh. And of course not prepared at all. So that was pretty funny.
Awesome. Tell me about the shift in pricing as well, because that was another really big moment.
Yeah. So I had been, with the formula of what you had provided through the program and understanding the steps, and then my own sort of work with clients on a beta basis. So I tested my program with a couple of people. One person was free, one person was $500. Just for me to get comfortable, because I wanted to know that the results people will get are not just the results I got, like I wanted to be able to see that. So I got that and I was very happy with that. And so I was ready to charge a higher price for my coaching and for my program. So I hadn't kind of worked all of that out in my head. It was still fermenting. So when he said, I want to work with you, how much will it be? The only thing I remembered from the brainstorming call was, oh, well, the pricing is between, and I went from 3,500 to 500, to 5,000, and he kind of looked at me, he's like, I'll take the 3,500. And I was like, it's still a win for me. Like, cause I mean, from 500 to 3.5 grand is a massive jump, right? Like that's a huge win. But it also was like, oh, don't like if I had just prepared a little bit more, I could have asked for that 5,000. But I'm in this place now where I know I can ask for that 5,000 and legitimately give value and legitimately help somebody you know, so it's this level of like building belief the whole time, you know, and that's an amazing part of this journey, I think.
Been fun to watch, because I remember when you at the very beginning, and even now it's still like, it's like lifting weights. It's like 50 kilos, you know, you deadlift 50 kilos, and then a year from now you're deadlifting 150 kilos. The challenge is still just as dramatic. Like there's still just as much resistance at the thing. You're just stronger and you can lift more, right? So I think that's been the really cool thing to see from you, has been what we were bouncing up, like the glass ceilings that we were trying to break through here, and then you've gone to another level to then break through that piece as well. And the fact that you're using the program, and this is the indirect nature of what it is that we do, is that we might point this at LinkedIn for the first part, but it can be used in any aspect of your life, like with a friend, with someone that you've just spoken to, or they've heard you on stage. And you just kind of naturally went into that. You just kind of took those few, it might have been a few questions here or there. You kind of went brainstorm, what would I do? Oh, brainstorm, here's what the price is, right? Even if it wasn't perfect, because they don't know how it's supposed to be. So I think that's cool. I think that's really, really cool. So tell me, what would you say to someone who was looking to come into this world, or was thinking about taking the lead, or has just gotten started? What would you say to them?
Look, I think you guys are a great foundation to start. You know, I can't comment on the other programs that you have because I haven't done them, but in terms of being able to, as I said, have that sort of the ABCs of where do I go from here? What do I do next? I think that's fantastic. I think the other thing that's amazing is being in a community of people who are all at that same level. So, you know, one of the things I noticed about particularly, I don't know, I don't think it's about the Gold Coast. I think it's just people in business. And particularly when you go to these networking meetings, it's easy to assume that everybody's making money, and it's easy to assume that everybody's successful, right? So for me anyway, I'm new to the Gold Coast. I'm new in this network. I don't know these people from Adam. So I'm a little bit more reserved about sharing where I am financially, where I am in my business, where I'm struggling, because I'm looking at all these people and making these assumptions that they're successful, you know? So when you come to influencer, it's like a level playing field, and everybody is just sharing their pains, their wins, their struggles, all of that. And so you don't feel that confronting of having to look or appear a certain way. You can just be how it is, you know, say what you're struggling with and get on with it. And I think that's great. I think when you're in business, it can be very lonely, it can be very challenging. And so to have that community to leverage and to pull from is brilliant. And so I would highly recommend this to people, you know, as a journey. And even as you said, that those formulas and that step by step is something you can then take outside in other realms. I used to teach at uni, and one of the subjects was business in Asia. And the thing about doing business with, you know, Asia, if you like, is that it's 7 cups of tea. You know, and we don't. If you think about that, but it's 7 impressions. It's several times of showing up. So it was several times of me showing up at these networking meetings, not selling, just relating, before this person approached me and said, yeah, I want to work with you. And we forget that when we look at the online space. I mean, I think the online space is even more impressions, right? Like 20 impressions or something. So it's being able to understand that and how that works there. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I really appreciate your time today, Jenny. Last question I've got for you. If you were to describe your experience in one word, what would you say?
Oh, one word. It's a roller coaster.
That's a fun, scary roller coaster, or a scary, fun roller coaster.
Oh, it's everything. Like you just know you're alive.
That's beautiful. I love it. That's so cool. All right, Jenny. Hey, thank you so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate you going deep into what it was that that shifted for you, and you're only just getting started. Like we're 2 and a bit months into a business that has the potential to last for the next 20 or 30 years. You know, if nurtured in the right way. So that's we can't wait to continue the journey with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Max. I love it. Thank you.
Great.